local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster and area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Hey, thanks for joining us here at the new Lloydminster Nissan. Stacey Commer joins us this morning. We're going to talk about her new business, which is called Project 5. And of course, you know Stacey from her years on CKSA and CITL TV, and she has hosted this very program before. Lynda, Campbell, and Rhonda Sather will also join us today to talk about a couple of events that they've got coming up at the Grace United Church later this month. Want to see your child's future take shape after high school? Visit Lakeland College's open house October 17th and 18th at the Vermilion and Lloydminster campuses. Explore Lakeland's career-focused programs, tour labs and residences, and talk with instructors who care about student success. Plus, your child can apply for free while on campus. Learn more at RSVP by visiting lakelandcollege.ca/open house. Parents are also welcome to attend. The grand opening of the Cenovus Energy Hub was celebrated yesterday. It was a fantastic opening, drawing hundreds of people for a community barbecue, guided tours, and even a chance to lace up the skates and go on the new ice. A special guest, Heather Hiscox from CBC, was also in attendance, recording a segment that's going to air nationally this Friday. And the new facility, which boasts 4,500 seats for concerts, but only 750 parking stalls, has sparked questions about whether the Cenovus Energy Hub could also lead to public transportation options for the community. Project manager Tracy Simpson says planning is already underway to address the parking challenge.
So if we were hosting a large event where we put people on the floor, like a concert for 4,500 people, we would highly encourage carpooling. We would encourage people getting dropped off, but we're also going to be looking at park and ride opportunities so that we limit the number of cars coming to site.
The 5th annual Pumpkin Fest takes place in downtown Lloydminster on 49th Street and 50th Street on Sunday. It's a new location this year, but once again, you can enjoy a street market, huge pumpkins, a car show, pumpkin pie, hot apple cider, and Jolene Schultz told us that there is a great place for kids that includes face painting and more.
And we also will have a kids section set up, and in the kids section we will have games like Jenga and tic-tac-toe, and K&L Electric from Lloyd here is sponsoring our bouncy house this year, so there'll also be a bouncy house for the kids, which is awesome.
Once again, Pumpkin Fest runs on Sunday from noon to 5. Lloydminster Fire Rescue, note the new name there. They will be holding an open house on Wednesday, October 8th from 3:30 to 7:30 at Fire Station number 2. So you're encouraged to bring the kids out to take a look at the equipment, learn some safety skills, take a turn at hose target shooting. That's always fun for the kids. Enjoy bouncy houses, take part in a coloring contest, and they'll also have an extinguisher, a fire extinguisher prop there as well. There's also lots of safety tips for mom and dad around safely disposing of batteries. Go to lloydminster.ca/fire rescue for more information. We'll be heading out today to deliver some delicious and signature cupcakes to a couple of local caregivers. Caregivers make such a big difference in our lives, whether they are professionals, caregivers like doctors, nurses, or those that are family members that are there to take care of their loved ones and make sure that they get to appointments on time or even just are able to carry out daily functions. So please tell us about your special caregiver. Just email livewithkurtprice@gmail.com and we could be delivering cupcakes to your caregiver next. Cupcakes for Caregivers is brought to you by Sobeys Lloydminster and Umbrella Marketing and Design, Inc. It's not just a name, it is Superior Water. Superior Water has 2 locations in Lloydminster and open on Sundays to make filling your big blue jugs a whole lot quicker and easier. And you get great tasting water right from your tap by calling Superior Water and asking about their under-the-sink reverse osmosis systems. 780-875-6636. I drink Superior Water because after all it is Superior Water. Open on 57th Avenue, Monday to Friday, 8 to 6, Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 5. And if you can't make it there, you can stop in at their coin-operated location by 7-Eleven, just off Highway 17 South. We'll take a break, and when we come back, Stacey Commer is going to teach me how to do public speaking. Finally, Stacey, somebody gets to tell me.
After all these years,
all
eh?
these years. I know I've been doing it wrong. Believe me. But we'll find out more when we come back.
At CK McKean Roofing, they understand what it took to put that roof over your head for your family. With over 20 years of experience under their belt, they strive to show you that with their workmanship and their integrity. Not all roofing companies are created equal, and that's why CK McKean Roofing encourages you to focus on your most important investments, your home and your family. CK McKean Roofing. Roofers do it on top.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
At Lloydminster and District Co-op, membership matters more. Because being part of a co-op means you're connected to something bigger than yourself. From long-held legacy by those who built our communities, to people you call family, friends, and neighbors. When you're a Lloyd Co-op member, you're an owner in a local business that prides itself on purpose alongside profit. You earn cash back, you help support causes that matter most, and you're building a better way of life for the next generation. Membership matters more.
BioClean Disaster Services is committed, certified, reliable, and they will help you get your life back. 1-833-246-8326. BioClean Disaster Services is Lloydminster's local restoration company, and you know that because you see them everywhere. They're on the swimming pool, sponsoring local events, but they're also Lloydminster's largest restoration company, and they will take care of your property. They will take care of your belongings, and they will, more than anything, take care of you and your family. BioClean Disaster Services, Lloydminster's local restoration company. We'll welcome you back inside the new Lloydminster Nissan, and we're excited to have Stacey Commer with us. Stacey has a new business on the go, and she is already filling up with bookings, and she's here to tell us about Project 5. So, Stacey, thanks for giving us some of your time here.
Well, thank you, Kurt. And talking about teaching you public speaking, I mean, come on. How many things have you emceed? You're a pro. You are the one person who I would say probably doesn't need this.
But Stacey, I still get really nervous.
Yeah.
And sometimes that nervousness can lead to, and I find this all the time, if I'm overconfident, I'm terrible. Mm-hmm. Like, I still get jitters before I walk out in front of a crowd. And strangely enough, the smaller the crowd, the more jitters I get.
Because it's more intimate.
It's more intimate.
Right?
Yeah. I've done stuff at, I've done stuff in front of 5,000, 10,000 people, but I'm doing stuff in front of like 100 people or less. It's, you feel every eye that's on you, and it can be stressful.
Well, and especially if there are people in the room that you know, right? Because then it's like there's even more pressure, it seems. So.
And it can be so stressful that sometimes I won't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Or I wake up at like 5:30 going, and it's the event might not even be till 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But I'm still laying there in bed at 5:30 in the morning going, that's tonight. Oh, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
But.
And with working in radio and television like you and I both have, you have to do a lot of these events whether you want to or not, right? So sometimes it's you don't know what the audience is going to be, or you have to go MC an event, and sometimes scripting at the very last minute is like, here you go, and it's like 50 pages and you haven't had a chance to look over it or anything. So,
all the time.
Yeah.
All the
yeah.
time. So the one time that I went out on stage overconfident, I was doing a thing for Border Paint at the Vic Juba Theatre, and it was a very well-known lady that was coming to speak. She had her own line of paint, her own line of furniture, I believe, and everybody knew her. She had a TV show, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know who she is, but so I don't need the script. I've memorized the script. What happened when I walked out on stage? I just went blank. I could not remember her name. It was so embarrassing. It was probably, since I've been doing this in Lloydminster, it was the most embarrassing moment that I've ever had in front of a crowd. And I still think about it. I still have nightmares about that night.
Yeah, that
because
happens.
I was overconfident.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, I know who she is. Like,
Well-
and usually what I'll do, one of my little tricks
Yep.
is I write on my hand.
Yeah.
So if something does happen,
You
a
have your
word,
notes to refer
something-
to?
even just a word will trigger
Right.
what I'm supposed to
Yeah, so
do.
you're having these feelings as someone who's had a lot of experience. So can you imagine being a kid in
can't.
school and each year progressively you're doing more and more reports? And there are some kids who are really, really shy. So now before we get into this, you refer to it as my business. Well, it's not my business.
Okay.
So I'm hired as an independent contractor. So Carmen Leibel, who is a former CTV journalist, she started this about 2 years ago, and she's based out of Edmonton. So she just saw the need for kids to be more prepared and have more confidence when it comes to speaking, because like we said there, we were chatting earlier, some kids are spending their social life on their phones, Snapchat, whatever the case may be, and there's not that social interaction. And so she started it out as a test pilot just to see how it would go. She did some piloting in schools, and now she's booked in consecutive schools 3 years at a time, Edmonton, Sherwood Park, Calgary. Prior to me, there was a teacher, Danielle, who was brought in to work also as an independent contractor. And so, also having that educator background, and then myself being a former broadcaster, I just started about a month ago. So how Carmen based this program, the reason it's called Project 5 is there's based on the 5 Ps. So it's prepare, which obviously, as we just discussed, is important. Practice, position, pace, and present. So all the workshops are basically based around that. So yesterday I had the opportunity to go to Lois Hole Elementary in St. Albert to watch Carmen. She's doing a residency there. And so when there's a residency, what happens is we literally move into the school for a week. Now she had grade 6s. So what she did is, so every day of the week you focus on one of those 5 Ps. And so she went to the grade 6 classrooms. There was 3 grade 6 classrooms. So each day of the week focuses on one of these these terms, and then by Friday the goal is these kids will present their speeches in front of everybody. The thing that has really stuck with me is how this changes people's lives. We do corporate workshops and such as well, but for these kids, just some of the shyest kids who at the beginning maybe didn't know how to use their voice, and that's some of the things that they're saying is, I didn't realize how I could use my voice and how I could speak up and use my voice. They become so confident. I was going to actually read a testimonial we received here, Kurt, and
Sure.
This is from a girl who had taken the program, I believe it was about a year ago, and it just changed everything. So this is what she sent in. So she says, a random Saturday, her name is Aaliyah, by the way, and she's a fabulous, fabulous girl. A random Saturday changed my fear of public speaking. That Saturday was the JA Ignite event, and it shocked me. Public speaking is the #1 fear in the world, even before death, and we've chatted about this too.
See, Jerry Seinfeld joke.
That's right. So according to Forbes, 10% love it, 80% feel anxious, and 10% are genuinely terrified. But everything changed at Ignite. In a public speaking session with Miss Carmen, who I spoke about, the founder of Project 5, I learned that communication is a skill, not a personality trait. So she practiced the 5 Ps that we talked about, and she said, after following these practices for 6 months, I transformed. From a shy high schooler who couldn't speak up in a team meeting to confidently presenting in front of 250 plus people. That one event became the spark. So this is a girl who basically didn't even want to raise her hand in class. And now she's doing speeches in front of 250 people. So it's just, this is such a well thought out program. I can't stress that enough. And so grades 4 to 12 are the ages that we target for schools. There's also one-on-one sessions because there are some kids who are really shy. Homeschool kids as well. We do events for sports teams because, as you know, even at a young age, some of these kids are put in front of the media. We talk about how you can speak to teammates and coaches. There's really no end to what we can do with this. And like I said, the best thing for me is seeing these kids who even the teachers at the beginning of the class might say they're a little bit shy, or they don't generally participate. They just blossom. And the goal each time in each, either if it's a workshop or a residency, because it's not all residencies. Most of what I have booked right now is in the schools anyways, is workshops. And so even in the workshops, we start out by getting them to do just a small piece to prepare, and they all present by the end. So it's, if you want the students in the school, or if you have a child at home who's a little bit shy and needs to come out of the shell, this is the program for you.
So when we think about public speaking, we automatically think of getting up in front of a crowd. But what you're saying, Stacey, is that's not necessarily the case. It
No.
can be getting up in front of your teammates. It can be one-on-one.
Right.
It can be that confidence. You mentioned, job interviews and things like that, right?
Yeah, and we do job interview prep as well. There are some people that do speeches, whether it's for an AGM or maybe they have a big crowd, so we also offer help for one-on-one speeches. For corporate, the workshops, we teach them, like you think about it, a lot of times people who work together, you're friends. So you have a little bit of pressure because you get up in front and it's like all these eyes are on me, right?
Yep.
So there's a couple of corporate workshops. One is about speaking with impact. So basically you want to have an effect for a certain topic, right? And we even talk about hand gestures. There was a study that was done, TED Talks, which a lot of people watch TED Talks, they're very educational. And so there was a study that was done, and basically people who use more hand gestures, those TED Talks are the most viewed. People tend to believe you when you use more hand gestures. And we were talking also about the most trusted hand gesture, which is the steeple. When people do this, it seems to resonate, and it's a brain chemical thing, and so this seems to resonate. Not the Mr. Burns.
Right, which I always do.
Right, but this. So there's a lot of studies and evidence that we also used. We have tips to make people less nervous. Also, eye contact is a big one. Like, can you imagine looking out at a crowd, well, even 20 people, and if you're looking over them, and and people just don't think about this. So the way that we do the workshops, it incorporates it in a simple way, and people can, when they go through it, if you remember the steps, it just makes things a whole lot easier. So
Everything, Stacey, I find is easier when you're younger to learn.
Absolutely.
Is that why you kind of focus on the youth more than anything?
Yes, and because of the fact that youth, they have so many different things, right? So they might be preparing for jobs. They might be, and every year in succession, there's more and more oral reports they have to do. And even in my personal case, my youngest stepdaughter was terrified every time there were oral reports. And to the point where she was having lots of anxiety. And so once she realized that it wasn't just her, and that's why in the workshops it's great because everybody participates and everybody's doing the same thing, right? So when you realize that it's not just you, and when you are prepared and go through this, it's so much easier. And the classmates are all in the same boat. So, and the projects that we do are very simple projects. We're not asking you to do a whole bunch of research, and it's on the spot basically. And it's tailored to each grade and each level. And so everybody's in the same boat, everybody's doing the same presentation, but it's a no pressure situation. So we don't judge people on, say, oh, you made this mistake. It's a safe space to be in. Mistakes we talked about mistakes. I can't even tell you how many times I would have made mistakes reading radio news or,
Yep.
anchoring. Live, that's what happens, right? So same things with making speeches to people. And again, with these 5 tips and the way Carmen has designed this, it's really hard to put across in just an interview. If you actually see it in action and you see the excitement in the kids, it's really like it's transforming. And going in, I wasn't quite sure what to expect because I've never taught in a public speaking session. I've only ever done it, right?
Yeah.
Like you. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure I'll continue to make mistakes. But just again, seeing how this changes kids, and we get comments often from kids saying, I didn't know that this was, if I did this, that it would just make things so much easier, right? And even like for the sports academies, same thing. We take it for granted because you and I tend to talk a lot.
Yeah.
But not everybody has that, right? So when you teach them how to communicate with teammates, or what if, elite hockey, all of a sudden you're moving to a new city, you don't know anybody. When I was growing up, we moved a lot because my dad was with the RCMP, so I was always the new kid in the room. So you have to learn to use your voice. So same thing would apply to hockey or football players or whatever sport. Young age, they're moving to a new community, they're meeting new people. All of a sudden you have these fans, you're dealing with media, like we also do media prep training as well. So, and even for the younger kids, parents might not think about that, but you might have, every community pretty much has some media, like a local newspaper, even the small towns, right? And that can be really nerve-wracking for someone to come up to you and say, ask you all these questions, and, what do I say? And instead of just saying and, right?
Yeah.
Again, these 5 Ps that we teach, really, if you think of it and you practice it, it really helps.
I notice every time you mention the 5 Ps, my posture gets better.
That is part of it too, actually. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and even simple things like when you are up giving a speech, some of the kids are like, well, what do I do with my hands? And if you have a podium, I mean, I guess you can just hold on if that's what makes you feel better, right?
Yeah.
Is holding on. And yeah, posture has everything to do with it. Even when you walk into a room, if you walk in and you're like, slouched over and whatever, people aren't going to have the same responses. You walk in, and if you smile and you have that confidence, that's just, it's very strange how the brain perceives things. And the more that I've been into this and doing the training and seeing some of the studies that Carmen has looked into, it's quite amazing. And you mentioned the Jerry Seinfeld joke where he said, people at a funeral would rather be the guy in the casket than the person speaking, because public speaking is so feared, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So
I had a friend of mine that was recently going for a job interview, and he was like, I don't know, like it's going to be in front of 3 people. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
3 people.
Well, that goes back to what you were saying. Sometimes a smaller crowd is worse, right? Then
he's asking me for advice, and I'm like, just have confidence.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that, Stacey,
right,
but it takes so long to build.
It does.
It doesn't come overnight.
No, and that's why when you leave the workshop, and if you continue to practice this, and we talk about things that, like I said, to make you less nervous, and even before you go in, a lot of it is just take a breath and calm, right? Make yourself calm, because you're rushing in there, and you need to think about it, and the practicing comes into it too. You can practice for job interviews. We have sample questions that people generally ask, and different for different ages,
so
right?
Things,
That's right, yeah. But if you haven't thought about it ahead of time, or haven't had a chance to really consider, if somebody says, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Well, if you have to think of that on the spot, right? That's difficult. So, and for the corporate side of things, I actually have a corporate booking, and I'm really excited about it because they're doing it as a team building day. And so all these are fun. I want to stress, like, it sounds like it's a lot, but these are all fun. They're all very informal. Even the corporate ones that we're doing, teaching, how to speak to even as a new employee, right? How to, if you have to do a presentation to a group, because sometimes you have to give reports, or even customers. If you're out, say, working at a bigger business and you're dealing with customers, what are some of the things you can do? And a lot of times too, what if someone's having a bad day, and you are ready to go, and they come in and they throw everything off just by the way they've spoken to you. Well, it doesn't necessarily be about them, but how do you react to that, right?
That's a good point.
Well, that's the thing, especially working in customer service. How often do you have that happen, right? Where it's somebody else having a bad day, and then all of a sudden yours turns into a bad day. So yeah, there's just, like I said, there's so many different things. And we have had such a good response. Carmen is working with an Olympian on helping her do speeches to do when she goes out and does keynote speeches. We've had sports academies. She's booked in Calgary for a couple of weeks, so the Calgary area. I'm booked here and in North Battleford, and I'm branching into Saskatoon. So I think sometimes it's the thing that people don't realize that they need. And what's great is working with the teachers. We have rubrics so that the teachers can actually mark these kids if they want, so then they get participation, kind of credit for participation. And again, it's not a pass or fail thing. And I think public speaking, sometimes people think you either have that skill or you don't, right? Like you're either a Kurt Price or you're not. But that's not the case. If you practice, you can grow the skill. And we have seen people who have came in and have not had any skills and have been, very shy, and they're dynamic speakers now. Even you think about it, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, they were all sitting in a chair in grade 6 at one point too. Do you think that they thought they would be giving keynote speeches and, right? So somebody in these classrooms that we're in could be the next Michael Jordan, could be the next Wayne Gretzky, talking to national media, giving keynote speeches. So get them started now, right?
It could help people get there too.
That's right.
Stacey, how long are the courses?
Well, it varies. So we have the workshops that I do are 2.5 hours, but we can tailor them. For example, there's some kids that are student schools that just don't have that time, so I can make it 40 minutes. The residencies, like I said, that's a full week, and then it's an hour per class each day. Some nonprofits have booked, and they said, well, we have about an hour and a half. So you just kind of tailor it depending on what they want and what they're focused, but the average workshop ideally is 2.5 hours with about 15 to 20 people in it. So,
Okay. What about your one-on-ones?
well, one-on-ones, it really depends what you want, and that is again something that, based on what your goal is. If it's a parent who has a child who maybe is like really shy in school and even thinks that maybe a workshop wouldn't be, would be too much for them, then you're looking at about an hour to 2 hours for that too. And again, it's all different depending on what the goals are. But that's the nice
come
thing.
back again? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. If that's what's needed, I like to talk to people when they are interested in booking just to find out what they want, and then we figure out what's best.
Right.
But yeah, so the one-on-ones, they can be for speech prep for, like I said, corporate people outside of the actual workshop. They can be for even students who are trying to get ready for university. I'm booked at Lakeland College with a post-secondary course, and it's the week before they finish, and so they're going to be going out then doing practicums and applying for jobs, and so they want the focus to be, how do we do the job prep? How do we move to that next step and be successful when we're talking to people, not even just in the roles that we're doing and for the course that we're studied, but how do we be successful as we go into maybe, you get a job and then you want to move on and you want to get that promotion, right? So that's what I'm focusing on for that workshop. So it all still bases around those 5 Ps, but it's just different just depending on whatever the goal is. And like I said, I really want to stress, this is not something where we come in and you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. It is so informal. It is highly interactive. So asking kids questions. What makes you nervous? What do you think makes a good public speaker? Where would you use these skills? And I have to tell you, sitting in yesterday at Lois Hole Elementary, I was amazed at the answers these grade 6's kids had for some of these questions. Like they're so excited to be there. With the younger kids, we play games as well, and you kind of make them realize that like they're interacting and speaking in public without making them realize that that's what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of games with the younger classes too. So yeah, it's I can't stress enough the work that Carmen has done to design this and make it so interactive and friendly. It's awesome.
Who contacts you, Stacey? Like teachers directly?
Yeah.
Or is it like the school division?
I've had a little bit of everything. So I've had teachers. What's been really good is that the superintendents of education have been really receptive. And I've had some meetings, and then they've sent out information to their teachers, and basically then it's up to them if they want to book me. Lakeland College, it was just a professor from one of the courses. The communications person was nice enough to send my information to them, so that's how I got booked for that. So for the sports academies, the coaches can book. Again, if you just call or email, we can start the conversation and just see, again, what it is you want and where it is, what your goal is, how many kids you have, that sort of thing. So it's really been a variety of everything. And for the corporate ones, I've just had basically the CEO, in the one case for the one I'm booked in North Battleford, reached out. I joined the North Battleford Chamber of Commerce as well as the Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce, and they all send out information to all their members, and Gold Eagle happened to get it, and so they decided to book me. But I have to tell you, joining both of those chambers of commerce has been amazing, as well as Startup Lloydminster, because I didn't know any of this. I've always worked for a company, right? Before the television station was closed down, I didn't have to do anything on my own. And now you got to get a GST number, a PST number, all these different things you have to worry about for taxes. So they have been, I have to say kudos to Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce, North Battleford Chamber of Commerce, it's because it's Battleford's and District, and Startup Lloydminster. If anybody is starting a new venture, or I'm a sole proprietor, so I'm just one person, but they've been so helpful. So yeah.
So Stacey, when you walked in and started, did you walk in thinking, I kind of know everything?
No.
And was there anything that surprised you?
Absolutely. Being in broadcasting and doing something like this, really two totally different things. What I learned, just even training from Carmen, it's beyond measure the things that I have learned that, and even that I thought that maybe I had known. But I just can't stress how well thought out this is. And the information that you're given, first of all, it's easy to remember. It's not like you're doing algebra, right?
Yep.
And it's so applicable to real world situations. And the thought that she's put in, like I said, even going through a lot of these studies. And we talked about, storytelling. How do you tell a proper story? When you walk into a room, a lot of people will just say, well, hi, I'm here. My name is Kurt Price and welcome. Well, if you want to get your audience interested, you need to walk in impactful right away. Start it with a question. What's the hook? So you incorporate this all into speech writing, and I never would have thought of that. I think every event I emceed, I probably started with, welcome, I'm Stacey Commer from wherever, So if you want to be impactful, there's just, again, all these different things that I have learned now to pass on to tell people how, even for an annual general meeting, which, let's face it, it's boring in a lot of cases, right? Yep. Often starting it, depending on what the event is, but starting an event with humor, just a quick little story. People love stories. Storytelling is such a great thing. You don't want to get up and listen to a speech that is all numbers and rehearsed and, right? Like, add some personality into it. Right. And so, all these things that I've learned blew me out of the water. So to say that I was a good public speaker before, no.
I'm just imagining you adding personality to an accountant. Good luck.
Oh, I'm sure it could happen, Kurt. Might have to charge him double, but.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I don't know how many times that I've been out at an event and I've come off stage and Heather will say to me, you didn't introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to the point where I just think everybody knows who I am, like sometimes.
Well, and everybody probably does.
And I'm like, no, I'm not that cocky
to
think that everybody knows who I am, but I just kind of slough over.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's because I don't want to draw attention to me.
Right.
Right? Like, I do it on purpose because,
you're not the focus of the event.
I'm not the focus of the event, and I don't want to put the attention on me because I'm worried about my body shape and other things like that all the time.
Absolutely.
Right? That stuff goes through my mind.
Of course.
100 times. Like, you can't believe how much that stuff goes over. What I'm wearing is my fly up.
Right.
Like, that goes through your mind a gazillion times when you get out on that stage. Sometimes when I tell a joke and it gets laughter, it calms me right down.
Yeah, but that's the other thing too.
But if it doesn't get laughter, it's the opposite.
Well, and then when you're telling that joke, or even just trying to tell a funny story, I'm thinking in my head, am I offending somebody in the room by something I'm saying? Then I find I kind of get lost when I was supposed to be telling the joke, and then did I tell that? And you know what I mean? Your brain just goes all over the place.
Yes.
So. And I'm not saying that this is something where that everybody tries it is going to be 100% successful, and every time if they, put the 5 Ps in, it's going to be easy, but we're hoping to make things easier for them, right? You can't calm your brain. Some people just, it goes, mine is like that, we're talking, but I'm thinking, I got to make bread later or whatever, right?
Yep.
But especially I find it's great for the corporate people, but I find it's just so good for the students too, because like you said, starting them younger, and if they have these skills in grade 6, by the time they get to grade 12, and there's so many oral reports that are required.
They'll be the valedictorian.
Right? That's right. Yeah, exactly. So, it's a fun, it's interactive. The games the kids really like that we play something called Mystery Box, which I'm not going to give away, but it's a super fun game that kids really love.
Do you do with corporate too?
Well, not the game so much part of things, but we just do the same. Mystery Box has been played with some corporate settings. You got to kind of feel it out, right, and see. Yeah. But there's also eye contact bingo, which is something that, again, we're showing the students how to make eye contact, because we talked about how important eye contact is. We show them how to do it, but they're doing it in a fun way, right? So they're walking around the room and they have a sheet and it says, who prefers pineapple on pizza? Who prefers cats over dogs? So it's easy things, but they can't have the same name twice. So A, it forces them to talk to everybody in the room, and B, they have to make eye contact, which is what we talked about. Like, can you imagine if we were doing our interviews today and I'm like looking over here when I'm talking to you? And it's nerve-wracking. When you get up in front of people, how you're, where do I look? What do I do with my hands? And those are all the things we go over. So I'm making eye contact with you. I mean, I've known you for years, so it's different. But you get up in front of 50, 500 people, you can't be looking all over the place. You have to have that connection. And that's why when you start a speech with either a little bit of humor or a personal story, it relaxes the audience, right? And sometimes you can't help it. You might have an audience that has been sitting through speeches for 3 hours and they just want to go for lunch. So that's where you have to gauge, well, maybe I can see that they're getting bored. Maybe I should shorten my presentation. And, we even have tips for making slides, because a lot of times technology in classrooms, right? People, or you've seen it before in a board meeting or an annual meeting where somebody will put up a graphic and there's 15 different things and the fonts are small. And so we even have tips when you're doing presentations for corporate and kids in schools. They have to make slides. Starting in grade 6, they make slide presentations, right? So
Well, it can help with your business. It can help, like, we've had people come on the show, Stacey, and they're very relaxed.
Yeah.
And then, Faye will say, okay, we're on. And things completely change.
Yeah.
We take a commercial break and they're relaxed.
Yeah.
And then afterwards say, I don't know what happened there. It's something triggered.
Yeah.
The easiest things can trigger something
Absolutely.
to make you more nervous.
Well, and that reminds me of when I was in television. You would have people giving you the greatest comments before you're chatting. But you turn that camera on, then the light comes on,
Yes.
and the eyes get big, and all of a sudden the answers are short and all over the place. Turn on the same thing. You turn the light off and the camera's off. Oh yeah, this, and this. Why didn't you say that? But it's a nerve thing, and it's again, that's with all these studies. It's a brain thing. You can't tell how your brain is going to respond, but when we talk about it, we put some of these scientific studies in and explain how it happens. Then when you're going on stage how to make the crowd feel at ease. And nobody likes to be in a room where everybody is tense, right? Where you're coming into a speech and you're kind of, and again, that goes to body language. If the person walks on stage confident and smiling, you're going to be more receptive. Whereas if somebody walks on stage and they're nervous, looking down at their speech and don't really make eye contact, it's not going to have the same effect. So again, Kurt, I could probably go on forever. There's just so much that you can do, but I'm so glad that Carmen has given me the opportunity to still use my broadcasting skills in this. And if anybody wants information, project5.ca is the website, or you can Google Project 5. It's such a good program. I'm so thankful to be a part of it and just to make a difference. That's the nice thing. Often you're in a lot of jobs where you don't get that rewarding feeling, but this is just different. You see it in the kids almost immediately. And when they present their speeches, they're so excited and they tell their friends and they tell their parents. And so, it's very, very rewarding.
So how do you get a hold of you, Stacey?
Well, the website is probably the best, project5.ca. You can go. My email is stacy@project5.ca, so pretty simple. Kurt, I'm going to have a banner on your show for the next couple of months, so that'll be there. And just search Project 5 or project5.ca or stacy@project5.ca is the email. So it's all really simple.
All ages.
All ages, starting in grade 4 to 12, post-secondary, corporate, one-on-one, whatever. And like I said, we can tailor each workshop, so it's amazing.
Even politicians are
That's
welcome.
right.
Well, can you imagine? Like, if you want to become a politician, like some of the smartest people I know would make great politicians, but they don't want to because they don't want to be in the public eye.
That's
they don't
right.
want to be in front of the camera, right? It's like,
Yep.
you should do this. You got all the answers.
Yep.
Or you think you got all the answers.
Till you get in it,
Maybe
right?
you should do this. Anything else, Stacey? Anything I'm forgetting?
I think that we've gone over a lot. Like I said, it's really hard to explain until you actually are part of it or sit into a workshop. So it is such a good thing for especially the younger students. So I really encourage schools to take a look at this. And again, it's not something that is, we come in and the kids feel like they're in this tough lesson. It's so informal. It's so interactive. And like I said, Carmen...
I wish they'd have had it when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, and Carmen started... She has schools that have her booked now for one school just has her booked every year. She's coming in now for as long as she's doing this. 2-3 years in advance, they're booking her. She's booked in Calgary for 2 weeks in schools. They wanted her for 3, but she's like, well, I have a family, right? So,
and other things on the go.
Yeah, and so I'm just starting, obviously, but the response I've had so far has been great. And my area is really all of Saskatchewan. So like I said, Lloydminster, North Battleford is where I'm starting. I'm booked out at Hillmond, actually, for their adulting day, which is going to be fun. And and then,
I did that last year.
Oh, you did? Yep. Oh, awesome. And then Saskatoon is kind of next, and I'm just, progressing as we go. But I've been very happy with the response so far. And I'm, having all different sectors get back to me. My first, actually, I haven't done it, I shouldn't say this yet, but my first workshop is the 13th. That'll be my first actual presentation. I've done, theoretical training and just watched it, but just from watching and learning, I'm so excited to get in. And I have a group of, it's grade 6 to 9 is the first group, so I'm
awesome.
Super excited to get in there.
Well, I can tell you, like doing drama and things like that
Yeah.
in high school and stuff, if there had been an opportunity to do this, it would have been something I looked forward to. Mm-hmm. It would have been something I went, Yeah, I need to go to that. I can't imagine, you know, like, it'll change your life. I think it'll change. It could definitely change.
Well, you look
your
at the
life.
comment we had from Aaliyah, who couldn't even put her hand up in class.
Yeah.
And just, 2 weeks ago, she gave a speech in front of 250 people.
Yeah.
Like, that is amazing. So, and that's what we want to see. We want to help these kids and do it in a fun way so that when they learn it, they can take these skills as they grow and they get into the corporate world and, they're the future, right? So
Yeah.
when all of that happens, that's what the goal is here.
Project5.ca.
That's right. Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, Stacey. We'll take a break and come right back with a couple of events happening at the Grace United Church.
How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years.
At Jason Arden Associates Cooperators, we're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to give back to the communities that we live in. Thanks to the support of our clients in Lloydminster and area, in 2023, Jason Arden Associates has donated $40,000 to local nonprofits, charities, students, athletes, and other special events. How does your insurance company support our community?
I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeliner, and I've spent the last 15 years reporting on energy in Saskatchewan. PipelineOnline.ca provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
It's more than just taxes at L&A CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at L&A CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. L&A CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with a Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
At CK McKean Roofing, they understand what it took to put that roof over your head for your family. With over 20 years of experience under their belt, they strive to show you that with their workmanship and their integrity. Not all roofing companies are created equal, and that's why CK McKean Roofing encourages you to focus on your most important investments, your home and your family. CK McKean Roofing. Roofers do it on top.
Welcome back inside the new Lloydminster Nissan. We are excited to tell you about Wellings of Lloydminster. At Wellings of Lloydminster is where you'll find Care Freedom Living. This is where Care Freedom Living starts. You can check out Wellings by stopping in at their location on the Alberta side and visiting with their manager, Nicole. And Wellings is for adults 55 plus who are looking to travel. Maybe you're looking to start new relationships. Wellings will give you that opportunity to do so. You can visit wellingsoflloydminster.com to get more information about a different way of living that has finally arrived in Lloydminster. Once again, they call it Care Freedom Living. So if you are taking a vacation and worried about the house, you won't have to worry about that. And you'll also have neighbors that enjoy the same things as you. Care Freedom Living starts here at Wellings of Lloydminster. Well, we are excited to welcome to the program Lynda Campbell and Rhonda Sather. They are here to talk to us about a couple of events that are happening at Grace United Church later this month. And I want to give you, ladies, say thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks for reaching out and telling us about your events. Let's start with your event on October 15th.
Sure. So the event on the 15th is going to be held right in the church hall. It is seniors health and wellness event is what we're calling it. And just to give you a bit of background, this is part of an initiative through the federal government of Canada, a department known as Economic and Social Wellness. And we were fortunate enough to receive a grant earlier in 2025 to hold information sessions that are targeted towards seniors. I find they're applicable to a lot of people, but seniors especially. And they've given us a little bit of guidance as to what the topics are that they'd like us to cover. And this particular installment, it's our third in a series of 6 information sessions. And this one is targeting health and wellness, mainly topics that are applicable to seniors.
Can you give us like when you're talking about health and wellness and staying active and that kind of thing?
Yes, yeah, that among other things. So during this event, there's going to be 4 speakers, 4 presenters. And just to give you a little bit of background on what those 4 presenters are going to talk about, we've got, probably your listeners are familiar with an organization in Lloydminster called Lloydminster Concerned Citizens for Seniors Care. We're going to have a couple of representatives, I believe, from that organization coming to talk about the Alberta Green Sleeve program, which maybe some folks are familiar with, but what that is again, it's a provincial initiative that involves anybody, any citizen, but especially a senior, having a collection of important documents, maybe directives, handy at all times. And maybe those documents are kept in a green folder or a green sleeve. So they're going to be talking to folks about what that looks like, how do you do that. They're going to provide assistance to people if they want direct help with doing that. We've got a presenter by the name of Donna Schellenberg, which is somebody you and your listeners are familiar with. Yep. And Donna, she's been talking to you about the pillars of wellness, and she's going to talk about that, physical and nutritional fitness. And not only that, I guess we've been asking our people to, identify these things, but also what can our participants do to actually carry that out? So, some actionable things that will help in achieving those things. Thirdly, we have Michelle Teasdale, a pharmacist with the Lloydminster Co-op Pharmacy. A lot of the people in the audience will be people she probably recognizes. So pharmacy is an interesting area of health and wellness these days, for the fact that a pharmacist is able to do a lot of stuff now that maybe they couldn't do 10 years ago. Maybe they're doing some things for people that our participants in this event might not even be aware of. So she'll be covering topics like that, prescription safety, dangers of interactions and things of that nature. That's the third one. And then fourthly, our 4th presenter is a occupational therapist by the name of Joni Harbin, who is another lady from River Course. We've got south of Lloydminster covered well here. So we don't really have a keynote, but I guess Joni would be covering something that we feel is very, very important. And an occupational therapist, I guess, people might not be aware of what an occupational therapist even does, but what they're supposed to do, what they're trained to do, is provide people with assistance in daily living, whatever that is to each of us. Say, for example, you want to remain living in your own home, yet there may be obstacles in doing that. That person, Joni, is trained to assist people with that. Like, what do they need to do in order to achieve their goals of staying home longer, or what are the challenges and how to meet those challenges. She's important in this day for the fact that she will be speaking to social isolation. So that is a topic that the federal government has asked us to cover specifically. It's kind of a social wellness phenomenon that goes on for people, especially seniors. Maybe they're not getting out into the community as much as they once did. Perhaps they're isolated a little bit from family, friends, more than they were in their younger lives. And we know that that particular thing contributes to all kinds of nasty health consequences. Say, for example, depression and its direct link to, say, heart disease or things of that nature. So she's going to be talking about that a lot. And again, what are the strategies to combat that? So that's kind of an overview.
It's interesting hearing that, because what, you know, it comes from a federal mandate. But isn't it great we have so many great people locally that can do this, that can, like you mentioned, Donna, you mentioned
Yes.
these people who are going to come in and they're experts in this, and we're so lucky, we're so fortunate to have them in our area.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, they've got these little pockets of their own particular expertise. And to uncover those, to make people aware, these are the people in our community, these are your neighbors, these are people you may be familiar with already in the community of Lloydminster, and they're ready and able and willing to help in whatever way they can.
Well, I think things have changed, and I think even before the pandemic, the way the seniors look at themselves and take care of themselves, and how how society says, we can't forget these people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that, you know, the whole topic of social isolation when you're talking about the pandemic, you know, many people across all ages suffered for that and continue to. I think even if I speak for myself, you know, you got into a habit of staying home more, maybe not making those social contacts that you once did, and then we became accustomed to doing that. And we're still coming out of that, I believe.
I believe. So how do you do you need to buy a ticket? How do you get involved?
So because of the fact that this is made available through grant money, this is 100% free event. There's no charge at all. The only thing we would ask is, if you are thinking of attending, please contact us through either the Facebook page, or they can phone the church office at 780-875-8959 and just confirm your attendance. Lunch is provided, a wonderful lunch through, again, a local caterer, and she simply needs to know how many people she's talking about. So we want to be ready for the amount of people that we're going to have, and that's why we'd like you to confirm your spot.
So it's October 15th from 10 until 2:30.
10 till 2:30-ish. You know, if we happen to be done a little sooner, we will wrap it up sooner, but that's what I anticipate. Yeah.
Anything else that we're forgetting about the wellness?
No, I can't think of anything
Seniors
else,
wellness?
Kurt. Yeah, just come on out and, you know, even just enjoy the company of people at the event, and maybe that makes you some contacts. Maybe that gives you some pause for thought about some things moving forward in your own life, and that would be what we hope for.
Is there a deadline?
I would like to be able, that's a Wednesday that our event is, if by Monday, so that would be the 13th, if we had a fairly firm number, we'd be happy with that.
Okay. Rhonda, your turn. Your turn in the hot seat. Your event, we'll say it that way, is coming up on October 19th.
It is.
Tell me what you've got going on.
So we too have received a grant, not a government grant. This one comes from, and I'm going to read because otherwise I'll stumble over it, the James Robertson Memorial Fund, which is part of the Seeds of Hope at United Church of Canada Foundation. So we've received money that allows us to do an event, and ours is focused a little bit differently. So we are the United for Reconciliation group at the church, and we are able to bring in a minister who identifies as being Black and Indigenous. Her name is Lisa Bayer-de Weaver, and she's coming in from Montreal, interestingly enough, because there's not a lot of Indigenous ministers around, but we're pleased to have her come in. She's going to run our service at 10 o'clock in the morning. Then we'll move into coffee time, but then the event starts at noon. So lunch is being provided, again, no charge. It's just a matter of giving us your name and number so that we have that head count. And after lunch, we'll move into the workshop. Should take us about an hour and a half, and you're going to move through 12 stations. And each station has a different topic. So it might be to make us feel uncomfortable in the situation that we're in, or showing us how we value things differently. There's a whole bunch of topics, and it just sounds really interesting, and I think a lot of people will really benefit from that, because the event itself is called Changing Our Mindsets, Decolonizing Our Thoughts. And I think that sometimes we have thoughts that we don't even realize aren't really what we would choose them to be. They're just sort of ingrained in us, and so it's a chance to kind of retweak how we think.
Because we're coming from talking about seniors, I just want to make sure anybody is welcome.
Anybody is welcome, yeah.
Anybody's welcome. And so 12 different stations, 12 different people?
Interestingly enough, no, but 12 different topics.
Topics.
And some of them you'll have a leader, some of them you won't need a leader, but each one will be fairly clear when you get to that station. So, and because we have the 12 stations, we are limiting it to 72 people. So we do need people to sign up, get their ticket. Our deadline is October 15th, because we too have a caterer that needs to know the numbers.
Right.
And we'll need your name and your phone number, just so that if we get audited, we can say, no, these people were here.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you, so it's free event?
Free event, yeah.
It's another free event?
Another free event, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's been sponsored by the foundation, we're able to do it for no charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who should sign up?
Anybody who's interested in changing their mindset, or thinks that they maybe need to learn more, because it really is a learning experience, I think, for all of us. Because even when I was hearing the description, I was like, So, and I like to think I've made that change, but apparently not in everything. So I think that there's lots for anybody to learn that is open and willing to undertake to do that. So,
is there anything I'm forgetting to ask?
How do you get a ticket?
Oh, yes.
Call the office. And again, that's 780-875-8959. We just need your name and your number, or you can drop in and get a ticket, but then you have to hit the hours that the office is open. But the ticket is not as necessary as your name and phone number. So we really need that. And like I say, by October 15th. But the event itself is on Sunday, October 19th.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll be back with you tomorrow. We're going to find out about Lakeland College's open house tomorrow. We have a couple guests coming in to talk to us about the open house, and so we'll be back with you 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we'll also have live with the Vic Juba Theaters live in Lloyd.